This time, I'm providing extensive teachings on the words of my perfect teacher. It may take 2 or 3 years to complete the entire text. I sincerely hope that all Dharma students at Larungar or elsewhere will follow these teachings from beginning to end. If someone has to leave Larungar for another location, they should continue studying the text. Thanks to virtual learning tools and in-person meetings at centers across the country, anyone wishing to study Dharma can easily access the teachings. A duration of 2 or 3 years for this teaching is not long in a person's lifespan. If you cannot complete the study of the words of my perfect teacher within this time frame, it will be extremely difficult for you to engage in virtuous actions and overcome obstacles throughout the 3 great countless eons. Therefore, we should all aspire to complete the study. Otherwise, given the turmoil of this degenerate age, what we see and hear may present various obstacles that can hinder our practice of the Dharma. I also frequently pray to be able to complete teaching this text so that this important task can be accomplished. Of course, during the turmoil of the 5 degenerations, it is quite challenging for both teachers and Dharma students to fulfill this significant undertaking. Nevertheless, we shall all move forward with determination and perseverance. It should be noted that the content of the words of my perfect teacher is not contradictory to the teachings of any Buddhist school or lineage. Therefore, it can be studied by monastics and lay people from all traditions. For example, the teachings in the text are accepted by all schools of Chinese Buddhism, including the Tiantai school, Pure Land school, and Huayan school. If you disagree, please specify your concerns. Is it the impermanence of life or the defects of samsara? Careful scrutiny will reveal that all schools of Chinese Buddhism accept the teachings in the words of my perfect teacher. This is also true for the various lineages of Tibetan Buddhism. Except for some differences in pith instructions, the teachings are very similar across lineages. As we've learned from other lineages, including Sakya, Gelugpa, Jonang, and Kadampa, their biographies reflect that eminent masters of the past did not exclusively favor their own lineages. Recently, some people have been asking me questions regarding prostration practice, such as, may I visualize my own guru instead of the great Jigme Phuntsok Rinpoche? Or bluntly stating, I really don't have faith in you. May I visualize another guru instead? My answer has been, from the very beginning, I have never asked anyone to pray to me or to venerate me. It's simply that I have great faith in the great Jigme Phuntsok Rinpoche, which is why I encouraged you to pray to him. However, if you don't feel a close affinity with Jigme Phuntsok Rinpoche, or if you don't have strong faith in him, you may visualize your root guru. The Tantras do not state that one can only pray to a specific guru. Here's the metaphor I mentioned before. If there is no magnifying glass between the sun's rays and a bundle of dry grass, the grass cannot ignite. Similarly, if there is no guru between us and the Buddha, we cannot receive the true blessings of the Buddha. Of course, the magnifying glass must be genuine. If it is fake, it cannot concentrate the sun's rays. Likewise, the guru should be a true teacher. According to the Vinaya and Tantric teachings, the guru should possess genuine qualities. Any qualified teacher, whether Chinese, Tibetan, Mongolian, or from other countries, is acceptable. Some people think gurus from a certain ethnic group are good, but those from my own ethnicity are not. Such a perception reflects ignorance. In fact, the guru is not bound by ethnicity or nationality. As long as the guru has compassion for sentient beings and comprehends the teachings on emptiness, they can serve as a representative of the Buddha. You should place great importance on this text. Some of you have practiced well, setting aside trivialities and devoting yourselves to the Dharma with single-minded focus, while others practice seasonally. studying the Dharma casually when time permits and putting it aside when it does not. Although in the latter case, you can still benefit from the Dharma to some extent, it cannot penetrate deeply into your minds. Take your daily prostration practice, for example. Lazy practitioners don't like to exercise and prefer to lie down, making it quite a challenge to complete 200 to 300 prostrations daily. In contrast, diligent practitioners recognize the rarity of this precious human life, allowing them to do 2,000 to 3,000 prostrations a day while still feeling the urge to do more. The progress goals I have set for your ngondro practice are not based on the standards of those who are exceptionally diligent. Nevertheless, you shouldn't idle too much either, perceiving everything as a sort of pressure, except for eating, drinking, and other indulgences. I often think that for ordinary individuals, engaging in good deeds is as challenging as climbing a mountain. Even if we need to prostrate for only 15 minutes daily, some of us constantly check the time, wishing it to be over soon. By contrast, when we engage in unwholesome activities or maintain a neutral state, 15 minutes passes quickly and we don't even notice the time. It's akin to chatting with a friend. 2 or 3 hours can fly by, let alone 15 minutes. Therefore, it is very easy for us to squander precious time on meaningless pursuits, while it is quite challenging to dedicate time to the Dharma. Many lay practitioners, especially those in urban areas, previously knew little about Buddhist doctrines. Now that you have begun to gain a deeper understanding, it is crucial that you don't just talk the talk. Instead, you must allow the Dharma to permeate your minds. By doing so, the Dharma will be integrated into your daily lives so that in whatever you are doing, be it walking, sitting, or lying down, you will never part from the compassionate blessings of the Buddhas. Some monastics at Larangar are truly impressive. They once had status, fame, and wealth, but they chose to renounce everything, leaving behind a life of comfort, to pursue the Dharma in this remote and austere valley, where the climate is harsh and the living conditions are limited. Such a determined aspiration is truly admirable. However, the occasional renunciation in an ordinary person is difficult to sustain. Some individuals, after more than a decade, not only do not regress in their spiritual commitment, but also strengthen their determination in the pursuit of Dharma. This is something we should aspire to. Some individuals had fervent faith at the very beginning. They cried tears of joy for 2 or 3 days after encountering the Guru, and I worried they would exhaust their reservoir of tears, leaving them with none for the future. Such a person sheds tears of joy because a connection from a previous life has awakened, and the seed of merit in their mind stream has begun to sprout. However, I believe it is perfectly fine if one does not have great faith at the outset. As the old saying goes, the friendship of a gentleman is as insipid as water, that of a petty man sweet as rich wine. If faith begins too strong, it might soon wane very quickly. In short, it is not easy for us to practice ngondro, but the practice is very important. Without ngondro, even if you have received the highest empowerment and pith instructions, it is difficult to determine whether you will gain any real benefit from them. It is certain that ngondro practice can benefit everyone. However, some individuals cannot complete the whole cycle as they are heavily burdened by afflictions. Others struggle to integrate the teachings into their practice and life, leading them to despise themselves, thinking, "I am so incompetent, I really cannot practice well," to the point that they even strike their own head. This is not necessary at all. After all, we are not noble beings, and we are often entangled by greed, anger, ignorance, and the other 84,000 defilements. Nevertheless, studying the Dharma can make a significant difference for you. After studying the Dharma, Your attitude and perception of life will change considerably. Therefore, it is important that your determination in the pursuit of the Dharma doesn't regress. It is not a major issue if your faith is not strong at the very beginning, but ensure that you always retain faith in the Dharma. Now we'll study the fifth aspect concerning the impermanence of life. Other examples of impermanence. Here we practice impermanence by contemplating various examples and their meanings. Certain examples in life can genuinely help us meditate on impermanence. Milarepa employed 8 similes to illustrate impermanence in one of his songs of realization. The gold painting fades when it is completed. This shows the illusory nature of all beings. This proves the transient nature of all things. Think, then you will practice Dharma. The lovely flowers of turquoise blue are destroyed in time by frost. This shows the illusory nature of all beings. This proves the transient nature of all things. Think, then you will practice Dharma. The flood sweeps strongly down the vale above, soon becoming weak and tame in the plain below. This shows the illusory nature of all beings. This proves the transient nature of all things. Think, then you will practice Dharma. Rice grows in the vale below. Soon with a sickle it is reaped. This shows the illusory nature of all beings. This proves the transient nature of all things. Think, then you will practice Dharma. Elegant silken cloth, soon with a knife is cut. This shows the illusory nature of all beings. This proves the transient nature of all things. Think, then you will practice Dharma. The precious jewel that you cherish soon will belong to others. This shows the illusory nature of all beings. This proves the transient nature of all things. Think, then you will practice Dharma. The pale moonbeams soon will fade and vanish. This shows the illusory nature of all beings. This proves the transient nature of all things. Think, then you will practice Dharma. A precious son is born. Soon he is lost and gone. This shows the illusory nature of all beings. This proves the transient nature of all things. Think, then you will practice Dharma. These are the 8 similes I sing. I hope you will remember and practice them. Worldly people who have never studied impermanence don't think in such a way. I also notice that some monastics and lay practitioners know nothing about impermanence. They seem to believe the world will never change and that they can live for thousands of years. In fact, this is merely their illusion. If you've practiced impermanence, your attachment to everything will be relatively weak, and you won't be caught off guard or panicked when a significant event of impermanence occurs. For example, when a loved one suddenly dies or a significant other drastically changes their behavior, those who have never studied impermanence may struggle to accept reality and could collapse mentally or even commit suicide. Therefore, it is essential for worldly individuals to understand the truth of impermanence. I recently reviewed the profiles of those attending these teachings and found that the majority are over 40 or 50 years old. In fact, people in their 20s and 30s would greatly benefit from learning about the truth of impermanence, as many are attached to romantic relationships. If something goes wrong with their partners, they may experience unbearable pain. However, if they understand the truth of impermanence, even if they lose a beloved partner, they will be mentally prepared, recognizing that everything is impermanent and that they can cope with the loss. According to the statistics I reviewed, fewer than 10% of Dharma students are between 20 and 30 years old, for reasons that remain unclear to me. In fact, young adults today are often emotionally attached to their romantic partners to an extreme degree. Some may even commit suicide when their relationships fail. In such cases, they would be better off studying the truth of impermanence if they truly acknowledge the impermanent nature of everything. Understanding even a single piece of scriptural evidence could prevent them from resorting to sleeping pills or rat poison. As an example, the cycle of growth and decline over a kalpa also embodies the nature of impermanence and change. It is difficult for us to grasp the concept of kalpa, as our lifespan is extremely short in comparison to its length. Using our brief existence as a reference point to contemplate such an extensive duration of time is indeed quite challenging. Long ago, in the first age of this kalpa, there were no sun or moon in the sky. Human beings relied on their own radiance for illumination and used divine powers to travel through the air. Their bodies were several yojanas tall, and they lived on nectar, enjoying bliss comparable to that of celestial beings. However, due to their afflictions and unwholesome karma, their merits gradually declined, ultimately leading to the current state of existence. As said in Treasury of Abhidharma, at first sentient beings were like living in the Rupa Dhatu. Then gradually they started to cling to tastes. Later, the good fortune of humanity continued to decline, and people began to cling more tightly to the concepts of I, me, and mine. They also started to develop male and female traits, and humanity's intrinsic radiance faded. Crops of grain began to grow on the land, and gradually, things devolved to today's state. What is the situation today? Human lifespan is less than 100 years, and everyone is deeply attached to the notions of my country, my family, my group, and so forth. People are preoccupied with protecting their fame, wealth, politics, economy, and more, which leads to unceasing wrongdoing. Such changes are not recorded in general historical accounts. The international history and Chinese history you've learned only cover human civilization over the past few thousand years, and these records do not extend beyond that. In contrast, the accounts in Buddhism differ significantly in terms of their time span. Even today, people's afflictions are becoming increasingly coarse and intense, inevitably leading to a decline in merit, shorter lifespans, and ultimately a time when human lifespan is reduced to just 10 years. At that point, plagues, wars, and famines will reach their peak, nearly driving the sentient beings of Jambudvipa to extinction. During the period of plague, epidemics will spread everywhere within 7 months and 7 days. People will perish from the illness, no medicine will prove effective, and hardly anyone will be left untouched. Ultimately, very few individuals will survive. During the period of war, it will not be a single country that initiates an invasion. Instead, humanity will become so cruel that their only thought will be to kill others. Anyone they encounter will appear as an enemy, and whatever they can seize will become a lethal weapon with which they will attack whomever they see. The massacre will endure for 7 days and 7 nights. During the period of famine, for 7 years, 7 months, and 7 days, there will be no rain, resulting in a severe drought. Consequently, wells and rivers will dry up, no crops will grow, the 5 flavors will vanish or become stale, and provisions, treasures, and homes will gradually deteriorate. Due to unbearable hunger, people will even excavate the bones of those who lived when human lifespans reached 100 years. They will make soup from the bones and consider it highly nutritious. Last year, I met a person from Hongwen County in Aba, a Tibetan region in northwestern Sichuan, who told me, during the famine of the 1950s in the Tibetan and Han areas of China, some people also dug up bones from cemeteries. If they found human bones, they would take them home and boil them into a soup. After consuming the soup, they would gain energy and feel warm for 2 or 3 days. In comparison, we are now living a happy life with food and clothing. However, some worldly individuals or rusty practitioners remain unsatisfied with what they have. They constantly complain about lacking this or that, and the gap between their possessions and desires is impossible to bridge. In the end, as stated in the Treasury of Abhidharma, the periods of war, plague, and famine gradually conclude in 7 days, 7 months, and then 7 years, respectively. After enduring a period of war lasting 7 days, a period of plague lasting 7 months and 7 days, and a period of famine lasting 7 years, 7 months, and 7 days, 99% of the human race will have been wiped out. Many places will be left with only abandoned buildings and possessions, bereft of owners. Everywhere will become desolate, devoid of any human presence. At that time, the emanation of Maitreya Bodhisattva will appear to teach the survivors the wondrous dharma of abstaining from killing. No killing is indeed a great virtue. If most people in this world choose to become vegetarian and refrain from killing, it will avert the occurrence of armed conflicts and wars. People's minds will be purified, bringing harmony to the entire world. At that time, humans will be as tall as a forearm. From then on, their lifespan will increase to 20 years and then gradually extend until it reaches 80,000 years. At that point, Lord Maitreya will appear in person, become Buddha at the Vajra seat, where all 1,000 Buddhas of the good Kapla attain perfect enlightenment and turn the wheel of the Dharma. When 18 such cycles of growth and decline have taken place and the lifespan of humans reaches immeasurable years, the Buddha infinite aspiration will appear and live for as long as all the other 1,000 Buddhas of the good Kalpa put together. His activities for beings' benefit, too, will be equal to the combined activities of those 1,000 Buddhas. For an ordinary person, it is hard to imagine what we just learned. For someone who is faithful, even if they do not doubt this teaching, it may still be difficult for them to develop a comprehensive understanding. It's similar to describing the galaxy, the solar system, or even Earth to someone who knows nothing about astronomy or geography. That person may struggle to grasp what you're talking about. When I was in junior high school, a teacher named Wang taught us geography. Many of the Tibetan students could barely understand basic Chinese, let alone terminology related to geography. So we just stared at him, confused. When the teacher mentioned the Earth, we had no idea what he was saying. In the end, he was quite disappointed. So he drew a circle on the blackboard and said, "As long as you know the Earth is round, that's fine." Similarly, when we mention the concept of kalpa to those who lack faith in Buddhism or do not possess a forward-thinking mindset about the future of the cosmos, it can be difficult for them to believe. Nevertheless, the cycle of growth and decline of a kalpa unfolds as we have described. Finally, this good kalpa will disappear without a trace. Examining such changes, one can see that even on this vast scale, nothing escapes the fundamental nature of impermanence. Therefore, nothing is substantial. Nothing is inherently existent. Everything, whether it be the external environment or sentient beings, is always subject to the nature of impermanence. The Lalita Vistara Sutra states, "The 3 worlds are impermanent, like the clouds in autumn." It also says in another sutra, "The 3 worlds are impermanent, like clouds in autumn. The birth and death of all beings are like performances in theaters." The constant changes of the 3 worlds resemble the white clouds of autumn, which some people in metropolitan areas may not see due to pollution. In some cities, one cannot even see the sky, let alone white clouds. Particularly in northeastern China, along the highways, one can only see black smoke from large factories, with no trace of white clouds. India might have been better in the past, but today it resembles some areas of China. In the Tibetan region, we can still clearly see clouds in all seasons. These clouds appear and disappear in an instant. Similarly, everything in life comes and goes like clouds, the truth we should all understand well. It is easy to grasp the literal meaning of impermanence, yet generating conviction about impermanence requires personal effort. Although many of you are listening to the same teaching, the benefit you derive may vary greatly due to differences in personal affinity and capacity. This is also true when we study worldly knowledge. While the same teacher imparts the same lesson, different students may learn different things, and some may even come away with resentment towards the teacher. Various outcomes can occur. In fact, it is very necessary to study the Dharma. If you are able, you should first understand the teachings and then pass them on to anyone with whom you have affinity. Some people hesitate to become Dharma teachers because they believe it lacks social status, but I personally feel that the position of a Dharma teacher is highly esteemed. The great Jigme Phuntsok Rinpoche dedicated his entire life to imparting teachings without pursuing worldly status. Historically, many eminent masters, such as Venerable Atisha, Lama Tsongkhapa, and Shantarakshita, also devoted their lives to being Dharma teachers, thereby making significant contributions to the world. Therefore, Dharma teachers and tutors should share the profound teachings of impermanence under the guidance of bodhicitta. Recently, when I visited a secular school, I heard some teachers discussing the principle of impermanence, and from the students' facial expressions, it seemed they understood it well. I thought, how wonderful would it be if the principle of impermanence were taught in every school? Then, as children grow up, they won't become consumed by thoughts of money and will not have life goals limited to earning. If they have even a basic understanding of the Dharma, they will learn how to live a meaningful life. Otherwise, they may become greedy and undisciplined when they can afford indulgences and will start to complain and blame others when they fail to get what they desire. Such individuals live in fear and pain, devoid of true happiness. Given the current situation, the only elixir that can help and save all beings is Buddhism. Taming our minds through the Dharma brings all benefits without harm. Of course, not everyone can accept Buddhism, this being the case even at the time of Buddha Sakyamuni, let alone in the current era of turmoils. Therefore, we should strive to understand the doctrines, and especially those with wisdom and capacity should delve deeper into the subtle and profound teachings of the Buddha. If you do not possess such vast and deep wisdom, at the very least, you should master the basic principles of making a living, as well as the essential instructions on how to attain liberation and avoid unfortunate rebirth. Next, we will examine the constant change of the 4 seasons. Observing the changing seasons separately also reveals the impermanence of nature. In summer, all the grasslands are lush and green, and the rain falls like sweet nectar. People indulge in the refreshing and delightful scenery, while colorful flowers bloom in vibrant competition, creating a magnificent display, as if in a heavenly realm. The Tibetan region in summer resembles a celestial place, and nothing is more joyful than sitting among the colorful flowers and admiring the beautiful forest, rivers, springs, blue sky, and white clouds. Perhaps due to my personal preference, when spring and summer arrive, I enjoy going to a river, sitting there, listening to the soothing sound of the water, and appreciating the beauty of nature. During these moments, the joy in my heart is beyond description. Recently, I visited the river with a few Dharma friends, and I told them, if I were to die, I would prefer to do so in winter rather than in spring or summer. This is because the scenery during spring and summer is so beautiful that I would not want to leave this world. The scenery is beautiful in summer, but in autumn, the chilly wind turns the green fields yellow, and all the flowers and plants gradually wither and fade. Leaves fall everywhere in autumn, which brings people a great sense of desolation. At this time, we deeply feel impermanence. By winter, the ground is frozen as hard as stone, and water has turned to ice. The piercing cold wind sweeps through, and you could ride for days in search of a single flower from summer, but none can be found. However, it can be a different story these days due to advancements in science and technology. In winter, if you fly to Hainan province, the southernmost point of China, you will experience a stark contrast. Here in the Tibetan region, we have ice everywhere, while there, flowers bloom in abundance. It feels like entering a different world. In the Tibetan region, the 4 seasons vary greatly from one another, making the seasonal changes so pronounced that you can easily sense the impermanence of everything. There is also a corresponding verse in Chan Buddhism that states, "There are flowers in spring, and the moon in autumn, cool breezes in summer, and snow in winter." This verse illustrates the principle of impermanence. Thus, as spring passes and autumn arrives, as cold gives way to heat, the seasons, autumn, winter, spring, and so on, appear in succession. Everything that manifested in the previous season transforms into something entirely different. These are clear examples of impermanence that we witness with our own eyes. Therefore, those who have contemplated impermanence will view the changing of the 4 seasons as a helpful reminder of this concept, whereas those who have never reflected on impermanence may not share the same perspective. Similarly, if we reflect on yesterday and today, this morning and tonight, this year and the next, everything is constantly changing moment by moment. Therefore, nothing in this world is permanent, reliable, or steadfast. Everything is constantly changing. For example, yesterday we aimed to practice well, but today we no longer have that intention. We set a plan for next year, but when the time comes to execute it, we may have already changed our minds. We might want to go somewhere this year, but eventually we may not be able to make it. Given all this, nothing is permanent, reliable, or solid. Especially in the cities, villages, and temples where we live, we can clearly observe this truth. People who were once wealthy and prosperous may now have fallen into decline, some even facing complete ruin. Conversely, those who were once impoverished and struggling may now have risen to wealth and power. All these changes are inseparable from the nature of impermanence. Therefore, the great Jigme Phuntsok Rinpoche says in his Song of Impermanence, "When examining everything internal and external, one can tell they indicate the impermanence of life." If we examine everything inside and outside with our wisdom, we'll find that everything, be it the 4 seasons, our loved ones, or our homes, serves as noble teachers, illustrating the impermanence of life. This includes our Dharma friends in the same group. We can observe how many were present at the beginning, how many have left, and how many have recently joined us. The group continues to change. Therefore, from the things around us, we can easily perceive the shadow of impermanence. The Taj Mahal in India, listed as one of the new 7 wonders of the world, also exemplifies the principle of impermanence through its story. The Taj Mahal was commissioned by the Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan to house the tomb of his favorite wife, Mumtaz Mahal. It is said that Mumtaz Mahal was an exceptionally beautiful woman who married at age 19 to Prince Khurram, later known by his regal name, Shah Jahan. The couple shared a loving marriage and were inseparable. Mumtaz accompanied Shah Jahan's entourage throughout his earlier military campaigns and the subsequent rebellion against his father. After a bloody battle, Prince Khurram ascended to the throne and received the title Shah Jahan, meaning King of the World. Mumtaz Mahal died during the birth of their 14th child when she was only 39 years old, while accompanying her husband in a campaign in southern India. Mumtaz Mahal and Shah Jahan had 14 children during their 18-year marriage, but only 4 boys and 3 girls survived. Before her death, Shah Jahan held Mumtaz Mahal tightly in his arms, asking if she had any final wishes. Mumtaz Mahal expressed her only hope was to have a unique tomb. Shah Jahan was devastated by Mumtaz Mahal's death. In her memory, he invested the resources of the entire nation, spending vast amounts to construct the tomb. It took the efforts of 22,000 laborers, painters, embroidery artists, and stonecutters to shape the Taj Mahal, which took 22 years to complete. After the construction was finished, Shah Jahan had the craftsman's thumbs cut off, as he remembered Mumtaz Mahal's wish for a unique tomb. He did not want to see a similar mausoleum built elsewhere in the world. It is also said that the craftsman's thumbs were buried alongside Mumtaz Mahal. Initially, Shah Jahan intended to build a similar tomb for himself in black marble on the opposite bank of the river, and to connect the Taj Mahal with a half-black, half-white marble bridge so he could face his beloved wife. However, shortly after the Taj Mahal's completion, Shah Jahan was deposed by his son, Aurangzeb, and placed under house arrest at nearby Agra Fort. During the next 8 years, Shah Jahan could only view the reflection of the Taj Mahal in the distant river through a small window. Eventually, his eyesight deteriorated, and he could only see the Taj Mahal through the refraction of a gem until he died of depression. Shah Jahan, once very powerful, became melancholic in the end, illustrating that nothing is permanent in this world. The same can be said for Saddam Hussein. When he was first elected, the entire nation rejoiced. Every household displayed his photo. Many admired him, and even the main airport was named after him. However, later, when he was imprisoned and ultimately executed by hanging, people celebrated with joy and laughter. Therefore, as the great Jigme Phuntsok Rinpoche said, everything is a noble teacher revealing the truth of impermanence. If you can reflect and meditate on them, you will see that all manifestations in the external environment and among sentient beings are examples of impermanence. If you do not reflect on them, no matter how profound the pith instructions in books may be, you may regard them as irrelevant. This will not benefit your mind stream. Therefore, I hope you can deeply understand the profound meaning of impermanence by reflecting on the things around you.